In this video with Metallic Penguin, I wanted to talk about excerpts from a couple of dev diaries around the Stellaris Psionics DLC that's coming out later this month, called Shadows of the Shroud. It seems like there's going to be a lot of new mechanics, or at least some new mechanics, around things like thought crimes and population-wide paranoia. But the thing that really I was very intrigued by was proxy wars. We'll be able to open up diplomacy in a way we haven't been able to do outside of mods like Chris's Covert Operations, etc. And Paradox really kind of excels at things like diplomacy. You look at EU4, you look at Crusader Kings and Hearts of Iron. I mean, I don't know why they didn't do this before. Like, why did this take so long? I don't know. Maybe what it is, and I don't know, this is pure speculation, but it could be what it is that people's computers have gotten better, so they're able to handle more processes now. And Stellaris 4.0 has taken some of the processes up a notch, apparently. Again, pure speculation. But I look forward to starting proxy wars with rival empires. And I wanted to go over some of that with you right now. In Dev Diary 395, titled The End is Near, it looks like there's a new origin called the Endbringers. It looks like they were brutalized by a galactic neighbor before the opening of the game, and there's a new paranoia mechanic. I don't know if this is a crisis or a separate event, separate from the in-game crisis or not, but it's interesting. Any new in-game crisis is fine with me. Anyway, the psionics mechanics deal with something called the Shroud, which is kind of like, I guess you'd call it, you'd kind of call it sort of like their equivalent of beings from another universe that take the place of gods in this game. And there are various mechanics around, leaning into that and basically running away from it, to include lobotomies. And there's even like an empire group that you can take over who's basically sworn to do away with the beings in the Shroud. And it just seems really cool. But the thing that really caught my attention when I saw it was the proxy wars. Proxy wars are a phenomenal part of a lot of Stellaris games. A lot of Stellaris mechanics revolve around diplomacy, etc. And to think about a proxy war, you're thinking, so you can get this empire to wage another war, or a war on another empire for you, and potentially weaken them, or do your bidding. And it feels so cool. Immediately my mind went to a fanatic purifier. You could soften up a fanatic purifier using a proxy war. I mean, and that's just for starters. I'm excited to think about what kind of mechanics and strategies this will open up. I remember when, pre-FTLs became more of a thing in Stellaris. I always now use pre-FTLs as a way to supplement my population. I always do that, So it's so cool. Also coming in with this DLC is more around spying. And that's going to be really, really fascinating, because that's another Paradox strength, I think. It's going to be through the what they call subterfuge that you gain access to the ability to wage proxy wars. you can basically get the subterfuge to pay for at least half of its cost upon being successful, and you can use it to further your psionic ascension path, as well as you can use it to increase your code breaking skills. And code breaking skill is used throughout the game for various and sundry acquisition of, acquisition of empires, acquisition of technology. So this is awesome. And there's also some story situations that come up in Origins that sound very amazing. But also I wanted to talk right now about kind of the state that I find in 4.0. There was somebody I was sitting on a forum, and there was somebody that was asking, is 4.0, playable? And the short answer is maybe. And the longer answer is, I find, as long as I'm dealing with factory DLC and factory origins, so origins put in by Paradox and not by modders and like that, I find that it works good. But when you're dealing with, there was New Horizons, that doesn't work. It doesn't. You can play it, but like the resource silos don't come in, and also trade doesn't tick up, and that was a couple of things I found. Also, apparently, the modders behind Gigastructures, which is one of my favorite mods. So the modders behind Gigastructures had released a 4.0 version, and when I tried to play it a few days ago, it didn't work. So perhaps there was another 4.0 patch, and now they need to go back to the drawing board with Gigastructures and with New Horizons. The thing I want to say is I applaud all the modders sticking with it, and I applaud all Paradox employees. I know that when 4.0 was released, it was released in a very problematic state, shall we say, and the modders and the Paradox devs really stuck with it, and they really fixed this game, which we all love. And I just wanted to say thanks, and thanks for the modders, volunteers making things for the love of the game, sticking with it to make our Stellaris playthroughs that much more enjoyable. I really hope that Gigastructures can come back, and I really, really hope that Ancient Cache of Technologies can come back, and I especially hope that Star Trek New Civilizations can come back, because there's a mechanic in New Civilizations around the Klingons that is really cool, and it feels like basically the Klingons in New Civilizations feel like Crusader Kings 3 in space, and that just seems very, very cool. And I wanted to take this time in this episode of my Metallic Penguin show to say thank you, both to the devs and to the modders who are hanging with everything and basically rolling with the punches. And I'll see you guys later. If you want to like, share, and comment down below, and also if you want to leave in the comments, here's a thought. Leave in the comments whether or not you think there needs to be ground combat in Stellaris, maybe in a DLC. I think that would be amazing. At that point, I think you're maybe talking about a different game. But if you could somehow fix that in Stellaris, I think that'd be amazing. Anyway, this has been Metallic Penguin, and I'm going to sign off. Thank you very much. See you later.